Welcome to the Explainer. So when you think of Italy, what comes to mind? Probably ancient ruins, right? Maybe amazing food and these long, leisurely meals. But what if I told you the data paints a totally different picture? Today, we're going to go beyond the postcard to uncover the surprising reality of modern Italian life.
All right, let's start with maybe the most famous Italian myth of them all, la dolce vita, the sweet life. It's this idea of endless relaxation and just enjoying yourself. But is that romantic image what life is actually like for the average Italian?
It's a really powerful image, isn't it? A life built around pleasure. But, the actual data on the Italian work ethic, well, it tells a much more demanding story.
Let's just look at the numbers for a second. Get this, a staggering 30.9% of Italian employees work regularly on weekends. That's almost 1 in 3 people. It puts Italy at number 2 across all of Europe. Only Greece works more weekends. That number just soars more than 10 points above the EU average.
And it's not just weekends either. The grind really continues during the week. As you can see right here, almost 10% of Italian employees work more than 49 hours. That's well above the European average. So yeah, so much for that dolce vita lifestyle.
Okay, so we've kind of busted the myth of the relaxed worker, but what about the classic Italian family? Let's take a look at how that iconic institution is holding up under all these modern economic and social pressures.
You know that stereotype of young adults living at home well into their 30s? Well, the data actually confirms it. In Italy, the average age to leave the nest is over 30. That's a full 3.5 years later than the EU average. But this isn't just about being a mamoni or a mama's boy, like the cliché says.
Nope, the real driver here is economic necessity. You've got a tough job market, soaring housing prices, and so 63% of young Italians say it's just way harder to become financially independent than it was for their parents' generation. For a lot of them, staying home isn't really a choice, it's the only option they have.
And those financial and logistical pressures on families are just immense. This number, 63%, that's the share of working mothers who feel completely drained by Italy's 3-month-long summer school break. For them, summer is anything but a vacation. It's a period of intense stress.
This quote just perfectly captures the logistical nightmare. The traditional support system of grandparents, the nanny, is shrinking because they're staying in the workforce longer themselves. And this forces parents into this really difficult balancing act. I mean, some even take separate holidays just to cover a single month of childcare. It's a lot.
So let's zoom out a bit, from the family to the community. Where in Italy are people actually living their best lives? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is a little more complicated than you might think.
This is the Italy we see on postcards, right? The picturesque village, and there are these wonderful traditions here. In Burano, for example, fishermen painted their houses bright colors so they could find their way home through the thick lagoon fog. It's beautiful. But as we're about to see, charm doesn't always equal livability.
The data shows that the best place to live in Italy really depends on your stage of life. The northern city of Lecco, it's rated highest for children. Gorizia, over in the northeast, is best for young adults. And Bolzano is the top choice for seniors. So there's really no one-size-fits-all answer here.
And we're seeing this fascinating shift in the data. For years, it was always northern and central cities that dominated the quality of life rankings. But in 2024, for the first time ever, a southern city, Cagliari in Sardinia, claimed the top spot for climate livability. It's a really interesting sign that perceptions of the South might be starting to change. And this brings us to one of the most compelling trends I've seen, how Italians are so cleverly adapting old traditions for the modern world. They're turning stereotypes and forgotten history into really valuable community assets.
You've probably seen this stereotype, the retired man, hands clasped behind his back watching a construction site, maybe offering some unsolicited advice. This is so common in parts of Italy they actually have a specific word for it, umorel. Well, one town decided to turn this little pastime into an official role. It's brilliant. The town of Via Santa launched the Umorel project. They formally recruit these retirees, many of whom have backgrounds in engineering or construction, to monitor public works projects. They get a formal volunteer ID and insurance coverage. It's just an amazing way to transform a cultural cliché into a valuable form of civic engagement.
And this idea of empowering the community by making traditional roles official, it's also happening with physical heritage. Down in Naples, a community-led project has rediscovered an ancient spring that once supplied water to royalty. After being lost and buried for over 50 years, it's now being reactivated as a public resource for the whole community. Just incredible. You can even see this same spirit of adaptation in the commercial world. Just take the classic Italian afternoon snack, the merendina. As you can see, it started out as a simple homemade cake, then it exploded into this massive industry, and today it's adapted again to modern health concerns and global tastes, but it still feels uniquely Italian.
So all of these threads, work, family, tradition, they're all weaving together to shape Italy's demographic future. And the numbers, they paint a picture of a nation that's going through a profound and sometimes pretty contradictory transition. We have to start with a really stark figure. Fewer than 380,000 babies were born in Italy in 2024. That's a record low. This birth rate crisis is right at the heart of the country's demographic challenge. But it's not the whole story. Because while the national population is shrinking, something really unexpected is happening out in the countryside. Over the last 5 years, Italy's mountain towns have actually grown by 100,000 residents. That completely reverses the long-term trend of rural depopulation.
And this table really shows the complex churn that's happening within the population. In just the last 2 years, the number of Italians emigrating has surged by almost 40%. At the same time, immigration into Italy has hit a decade high, while the number of Italians choosing to return home has actually fallen.
So where does all this lead? To this number, 1.4 million. That's the estimated number of foreign domestic workers Italy is going to need by 2028 just to care for its rapidly aging population. It's a pretty stark reminder of how essential immigration has become to the very fabric of Italian society.
So, we're left with this final, really crucial question. Modern Italy is a land of paradoxes. It's a nation of hard workers with a reputation for leisure, a country where ancient traditions are being reimagined for the future, and a population that's aging, shrinking, and being reshaped by migration all at once. The real question isn't just what Italy will look like in 2050, but what it will even mean to be Italian.